In this video, I'll share my 10 personal best practices that in general contribute to a good design. Number 1, reduction. Get rid of everything which is not necessary. As soon as you reach a point where nothing can be left out anymore, you have a clear layout, and then you can start to work on some details here and there. In general, less is more. Number 2, specialties in logo design. When you design a logo, it's important to also test it in black and white color and in small size and in big size. And please look at it on the screen and also in a printed version, because sometimes when you print something out, it looks really different than on a screen. Number 3, a good grid. Every good layout is based on a good grid, so you can really align all sorts of design elements towards that grid. It also helps to have a flexible grid. For example, when I lay out magazines, I always use a 12-column grid, so I can lay out text and images as a 2-column, 3-column or 4-column layout. Number 4, it's very important to design specifically for your target group. So colors, round or straight shapes, regular or irregular shapes, the amount proportion of text and images, photo moods, etc., all that influences your design. And in the end, what your layout has to really speak to your specific target group. Number 5, contrasts. Contrasts generate excitement and mix up the layout. Depending on if you want your layout to be subtle and silent or outstanding and loud, you can use more extreme or less extreme contrasts. I think it's always best to use one contrast. To give you an example, for example, in a poster or something on a flyer, mix a handwriting font and a sans serif font that looks very straight. This is a very nice contrast and a loud contrast in this example. Number 6, repeating elements. Repeating elements allow for better orientation and contribute to an overall positive reading experience. Repeating elements can be, for instance, header bars or big letters at a very specific place in your layout, or you start your text column at a very specific place on every double page. So repeating elements are something very nice for the orientation of the reader's eye. Number 7, screen versus print. When you design something on the screen that will be used in a printed version later on, it's always good to test print something. Just print it out on your home printer or your office printer. Because when you print something out, it often looks very different to what you have on the screen. And especially comparing font sizes and color contrasts, you can do this better when you have something printed rather than on the screen. Number 8, one of the most important tips in my opinion, when you think a design is finished, sleep over it and look at it with a fresh mind the next day. Because all good designers need to have some distance to their work to deliver good quality in the end. And when you have a fresh mind, you see things more clearly and more objectively, rather than you are stuck in the design for hours, because then you don't see things anymore. Number 9, don't mix too many fonts. As mentioned earlier, it's good to have contrast in your layout, but never mix, never wildly combine too many completely different fonts. Use, let's say, maximum 2 or 3 different fonts in various styles, like bold, italic and so on, because that really goes together nicely. And what is also very important, before you start designing, before you start layouting, think about which font and which style of the font you use for which purpose. Don't just design and then decide, oh, I'll make this bold or I'll make this italic. Always think about what fonts you use, what styles of the fonts you use, and what purpose you use them for before you start layouting. The last tip relates to advertisements in particular. Before you start designing, ask yourself, what is the one core message that has to come across? Do you want people to click a specific button on your banner? Do you want people to buy an event ticket or call a telephone number to make an appointment or something? Find out what the one core message is in your advertisement. And this core message, this call to action, has to visually stand out in your layout. Did you like this video? Then I would appreciate you sharing it and commenting on it. Thanks very much for watching, and see you in the next video.